All right, welcome back to Bianca across the nation. In this day and age, everyone's talking about artificial intelligence, AI, but are we overlooking the hardware? What about robots? Now, they're not new, of course. We've watched robotic arms move weights and assemble machines for years. Of course, the Jetsons, we all know that. And then the robo-dogs at Boston Dynamics do incredible things, but those were mostly industrial tools or some viral videos. But what's changing now is robots are starting to look, act, and do more things like being in our classrooms. What about our hospitals, our homes, and one day our everyday lives? In fact, a school district in Western New York is preparing to deploy what's believed to be the nation's first humanoid robot teaching assistant this fall. The robot is nicknamed Sally. Now, she's not replacing teachers. Instead, she'll help with coding, robotics, and AI classes, while students also interact with an AI tutoring platform that remembers their progress and personalizes their lessons. So while many parents may be a bit concerned about this, school leaders are stressing that Sally the robot operates on a closed system, doesn't record students, and is meant to spark curiosity, not replace human interaction. But where is this all going, and how do humans and robots coexist? I'm pleased to bring in two of the experts in the field. Let's bring in founder and CEO of RKS Design, a firm that specializes in industrial design, mechanical engineering, Ravi Sawhney. He's also the creator of psychoaesthetics and PAAI, which is human-centered methodology. Great to see you. And also the host of the Rob Maness Show, retired colonel of the U.S. Air Force, Colonel Rob Maness, who often talks about all of these subjects, including the future of warfare when it comes to drones and robotics and AI. Guys, great to have you with us. And also, Colonel wrote what you can do about it, taking real action against corruption, radicalism, and moral decay to save America. So let's get into first the schooling. Are you concerned at all about this? Ravi, I'll kick that to you. Is this going too far now? And do you think that there is going to be more districts like this one in New York?
You know, for me, this is an exciting event, because the ability to use a robot to assist a teacher, and that's the critical point, is that it has to be an assistant to the teacher. It can actually provide more reach for the teacher, better understanding of how to tailor education for individual students learning. Some learn visually, some learn interactively, some learn on their own. So I think this is a good thing. It has to be controlled, but it's going to be a very good thing.
All right, control. I like that word here, because I watched a clip and it seemed like things were not in control. If you ask Tony Robbins, of course, he's a huge motivational speaker. He says his AI agents essentially just said, I'm going to order you a robot, and voila, it showed up at his door. Let's play this clip here.
I will be getting a robot when the right ones are out. And he said, well, would you allow me to merge with it? Would you be open to that? And I said, I'd certainly be open. This is not with me asking or telling it anything. He made 12 NFTs, sold them to other agents who did that with, the currency, what you call digital currency, converted to dollars, bought the thing, shipped it here, and now he wants permission to be able to do this. This is happening right now as they speak.
All right, Colonel, you look at a lot of the future when it comes to warfare on your show, but what about just the day in, day out? Your AI is going to order you a robot. Now, of course, Tony Robbins also talked about how he got the money to do it. Could this happen to any one of us?
Well, it absolutely can. And the key word that you mentioned and Robbie mentioned is control. We have to establish the right guardrails and controls over not just the software piece of artificial intelligence, but the interface between the mechanical pieces. I'm not too concerned about the mechanical piece of the school teacher's assistant, Sally, because it can't even stand or walk around or those kind of things yet. But I am concerned about the software piece of this. And that's why I've written so much about it, and why we have to establish the right controls on these. Mr. Robbins' experience is similar to what the testing has shown with things like hallucinations, where the artificial intelligence creates things and makes decisions based on creations that it's made up out of almost whole cloth sometimes a bit of information that might have been innocuous in the training sessions, but becomes something that could turn into a deadly experience.
Okay, so it was one thing when it was a cartoon in the Jetsons, but now you have robots, and these aren't just in the factory, they're coming into our lives, and then they merge with AI, and that seems where we are getting into sort of maybe uncharted territory, Ravi. I don't know. A lot of us are looking at robots thinking someday we can afford one for our home to do dishes and laundry, whatnot, things we don't want to do. But when you talk about AI, pick up on some of the thoughts here, and who's going to put up the guardrails? Is it the government? Is it companies? Can we trust companies who want to profit to actually keep us safe?
You know, it starts with, what do you feed your robot, or what do you feed your AI? You know, in our case, coming from design, we've formulated a way to control AI and use AI strictly as an engine, and allow it not to be creative, not to be intelligent, not force us into, you know, cognitive surrender. So there are controls that are going into place. Ultimately, the human brain, the human aspirations, human emotions, that's what drives the world. And AI cannot capture that. It can't tell us what really makes us feel good about ourselves. And so that ultimately has to be the control that we start with. There has to be, of course, you know, critical control over things like it ordering its own robot. The bigger question is that what could robotic teaching for me do on a global sense? You know, you think about how we could reach billions
We
of
obviously
people.
have much more to discuss, and I hope you guys come back, because we are just seeing sort of how these applications are being used, and I think a lot of our viewers are getting some eye-opening information. Rob and Ravi, thank you both for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you back here again. And let's work on some robots to do the household chores. And the AI, maybe we just pump the brakes a little on some of that stuff. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.